r/paranormal. My friends saw my ghost. Suicide TW. So when I was a junior in high school, I suffered from severe depression and my home life wasn't exactly rainbows and sunshine. It was nearing the end of October, and my school was throwing a homecoming dance. I didn't really want to go, but my friends convinced me. I won't go into great detail, but the night ended horribly. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. Fast forward to the next morning, I woke up puffy-eyed and feeling absolutely hopeless. My mom and brother left to the store, leaving me home alone. I didn't waste a minute. I went to the medicine cabinet, grabbed all the pill bottles I could in my arms and went all in. Last thing I remember was pulling up to the ER, my mom trying to get me out of the seat. It all had happened so fast, I didn't text my friends I loved them, I didn't indicate in the slightest what I intended on doing, just nothing. Clearly, my attempt didn't work. As I'm writing this now, but while in the hospital I had a seizure. This may be important later. After a few days at the psychiatric facility, I was allowed phone calls. So I called my best friend, and told her what happened. She was shocked. Rumors were flying around school, per usual at a small private school, that I was pregnant, my mom pulled me out of school, etc. One guy was joking to a group of people, my two best friends among them, that maybe I died. Super funny, I know. My best friend, P, said she felt a chill run down her spine as soon as he said it. She gave him an earful. My other friend, A, pulled P aside and they started discussing what could have happened. A told P that he thought he saw me walking down the street a couple days before and how he tried to yell to me but the person didn't turn or respond. P said that she had an awful feeling in her gut that something was very wrong. I often forget that this happened, because understandably I want to put the past behind me. It was a long time ago. I saw a post of A's earlier today and thought how odd it was of someone as rational and realistic as him to see what he did, and feel confident enough that it was me to share what he saw with P makes me wonder if my soul was in an in-between state, just wandering around, or maybe I did die, and just switched into a reality where I lived. Spooky stuff. Kinda creepy. Found a severed turtle leg with a blue glove next to it at 3 a.m. To begin with this rather strange occurrence, I work at a local gas station. I came into work at 11 p.m. for the graveyard shift and it was also truck night. Truck had gotten there about 9 p.m. parks in front of the store and delivered our merch. About 10:30 they had finished packed their things and left. So as I arrived to work at 11 p.m., I see my co-worker putting things away as usual and running the counter as I clocked in. The shift started great, there were no problems, the store was running smoothly. Okay, so fast forward to about 3 a.m. as I continue to put merch away and clean the store, I hear my co-worker say, "I'm telling you it's a damn turtle leg." So out of curiosity I go to the window where my co-worker and a McDonald's employee are having a discussion about the object in the middle of the drive-through line. I go out to look and sure enough it's a turtle leg, but perplexing enough a blue latex glove in laying flat next to it. Like nice and neat. Weird doubt about this, I go back inside and tell my co-worker yes, that is what it is. Someone says it's witchcraft. Is there anyone on here with any knowledge about this? BTW, the shift continues fine and there are no other issues. I've seen a ghost today for the first time in my life. I work in a Chinese store. That type of store that sells pretty much everything except food. This evening was a bit more crowded than usually. It was the last half an hour and my shift ended, but something weird happened. It was already dark outside. A woman entered the store. I remember clearly that she was wearing a purple jacket. She was in her 40s, I believe. She didn't greet me or my boss. She didn't say anything. Then a group of 6 kids entered the store too. I've seen the woman walking, then nothing. I was sure that she was somewhere in the back of the store where I couldn't notice her anymore. I have to mention that the entry is also the only exit out of that building. I was really close to the exit all this time. Half an hour passed. My boss was also next to me. Every customer we had left eventually, except for this woman. My boss said, "Let's go together to tell this woman that we're closing." I said okay. Went to the very back of the store, no one. My boss was like, "But she was here. She didn't go out." I agreed that she never passed back through that door. We looked very carefully around, then we decided to turn off the lights. Here I am at home, telling you this story. What do you think? I don't want to assume anything. I'm not sure what that was, but weird anyway. Sorry for my bad English. I live in Romania. A ghost sat down at a table I was serving. So, I live in relatively small town in a really small country. I work as a waiter in a local restaurant. The restaurant is the oldest building in town and has quite a rich history. It was built in late 1800 and was originally just a small shack. The house still has a really old feel to it. We have antiques strewn all about the place. We even have the original floorboards from around 1940 in our upstairs dining area. All around a creepy vibe in the house. I've been working there for almost 3 years now. This encounter happened last year. So it was a pretty busy night and the place was quite packed. I was a greeter that evening, seating guests as they came, taking down reservations in the book, as well as helping out during service upstairs. We had a table reserved for 6 people at 7:30 in our upstairs dining area. The guests came in and I cheerfully said, "Good evening, how may I help you?" They told me the name they had made a reservation under and I confirmed. "All right, table for 6 right this way," I said as I picked up 6 menus and a drinks menu to show them to their table. "Actually, there's just the 5 of us this evening," said one lady. I replied, "Oh, all right, no problem," and proceeded to put away the extra menu. I didn't think much of it, as party sizes change all the time, either adding or disbanding one, remember. I walked them upstairs and showed them their table. They all sat down and I started putting down menus for one side of the table, then moved to the other side. I put down all 5 menus, but then there was a 6th person sitting at the end of the table. She had her back turned to me. All I could see was her long black hair which draped over her shoulders. I just remember saying out loud, "Oh gosh, I forgot one menu. I'll be right back," and quickly made my way downstairs. Downstairs I met my co-worker who was attending the bar as I brought the table upstairs originally. I told her, "Wow, okay, so apparently there's 6 now?" Why would she tell me they're 5 when they're obviously 6? She just looked at me and said, "Are they 6? I remember them walking in and I swear they were 5. I just gave a shrug, grabbed a menu and went back upstairs. I walked to the table, menu in hand, and noticed that they were only 5 sitting at the table. I walked to the table and said, "Oh, I thought you were 6. Wasn't someone sitting here?" and pointed at the empty seat. They all looked at me confused and said, "No, there's just the 5 of us." I was stumped. I swear I saw someone. A lady, which sat next to the empty seat, looked at me and said, "I felt like someone was sitting next to me too." I got chills down my spine and went downstairs for a glass of water. I had to try to forget about it because I still had to finish service. But to this day, I always think about who or what sat down with my patrons. P.S. I would have just chucked it aside as some stress-induced hallucination had the girl not confirmed that she saw something too. P.P.S. This house is very old and littered with many tales of ghosts and strange activities. I've encountered other strange phenomenon and sightings, but this one stands out in particular. I saw the moon turn off. This is my first post, but I figured this would be the place to see if anyone remembers what I do. Around fall of 2015 there was a lunar eclipse that had taken place. My family, and I being the wicked type, decide to prioritize these events because we are weirdos. Nevertheless, that night we all sat out on the swing to watch as the moon slowly turned red. It had typical eclipse-like activity. The unsettling part was when the moon then started to flicker on and off as if it were a faulty bathroom light in a gas station, on and off over and over. Imagine someone kept walking past the moon causing a giant shadow-like cloud to swallow it, only to be resurfaced once they pass. But continuously. I then checked my phone because the event was being live-streamed and I had to see if the live feed showed the same effect, and it was also flickering. All 3 of us just sat there, confused in disbelief, looking at each other now and then just to confirm that we are indeed seeing what we are seeing. It has to be one of the most memorable moments of our entire lives. But apparently we are the only ones who remember it ever happening. Nearly 5 years later and I've yet to hear or see anything about it. Did we swap dimensions or something? I'm not exactly sure. I just find it extremely strange that nobody remembers the night the moon turned off. A man came to me when I was 12 weeks pregnant with my first child, single, and hadn't told anyone. I don't know if this belongs here, but I can't find a sub that fits. This was extremely strange but comforting at the time. 3 important things about me at the time: I was intrigued by people with accents. I collected foreign money, and I had just found out 2 days prior that I was pregnant with a child I was told by doctors that I would never have, severe endometriosis. I was bartending and it was the closing shift. It was almost last call and I was thankful that night that I had no new patrons coming in to make my shift longer. I was sweeping up behind the bar when I hear a man say, "Have you ever seen one of these?" I looked over and there's this man, long black hair, in a braid, holding out a gold coin. He wasn't there when I started sweeping and he was sat at the end where the bar opened up to the kitchen. I walked over and looked at the coin. It was European. He asked for 1 bottle of Budweiser which I went and got, and I noticed he had a strong European accent. I brought it back to him and told him the price since it was last call, and after cashing him out for it, I continued sweeping, thinking about how there was no way I'd survive this pregnancy with these late bar shift hours. I was also extremely stressed out because the father of my child left a month prior to the army, so I was totally alone in all of this. "Can I have a moment of your time?" the man asked. I walked over, slightly annoyed because I wanted out of there, and the faster I cleaned up, the sooner I could leave. He then said something that to this day gives me goosebumps. "Your son will grow to be big and strong. Everything will work out just fine. Whatever happens, you will be alright. That baby is in good hands." I stared at him, like, for a long time. Then I felt tears falling down my face. He grabbed my hand, placed the coin in it, smiled and got up and left. It was the strangest thing but so comforting. Suddenly, all at the same time, every single person left at that bar cashed out and left within 5 minutes, something that never happened. To this day I am confused by how he knew. I didn't even know yet if my baby was a girl or a boy. I hadn't told anyone that I was pregnant yet. My son is now 8 and so smart and strong, and I raised him alone for the first 5 years of his life. We're now happy. I have a great man who claims him as his own. His father got married but we all get along great. It's unreal. I'm glad I always have that man's voice in my head when wondering if I'm doing a good job. I wish I knew who he was or why he came in there that night. I still have the coin. Edit for clarity and to add, since many keep asking to see the coin, it literally was just a regular looking gold colored euro. It's currently in a hat box within a pile of other boxes from us moving a while ago. Nothing was extraordinary about the coin itself. I just collect foreign currency and it caught my attention. I was murdered February 2012. Had a serious near-death experience. This is what happened to me. Alright. Haven't shared my whole NDEW/you all yet. It's pretty hardcore. You guys ready for it? February 2012. I was choked to death by someone I loved. And still do, if you can believe my ability to forgive. It was horrible, struggling for air. Absolutely terrified. A lot of pain. But during the choking I got a mass release of chemicals that actually felt better than any drug, any sex, anything. I finally said okay, I can let go now. So I did. Suddenly, every sound got really loud. I could hear everything going on in downtown Portland outside the condo below me. I literally became the sound. I could hear conversations in bars blocks away. It was really weird. I became the sound. I became the sound of the cars on I-405 below me. I remember popping, literally, out of my body. For a moment I could kind of see what was going on in this world still. Then I was gone. In another one. I had 360 degrees vision. I could literally see above me, below me, behind me, and every side of me. Simultaneously. How will I ever be able to explain to others what that looks like? You know. So I'm in this black void. I did not see a light. But I wasn't scared. It was not a scary black void, there was an absence of sound, but at the same time it was really loud. It was like a cave. Or a womb. Like deep space. There was no sound but the silence was deafening. It was cozy. There were other beings with me, guiding me, but I don't remember in this situation what they looked like. Suddenly, I was brought to my life review. But I was not worried. It wasn't like a judgment. I guess for a short moment I do actually remember thinking, oh crap. I'm about to get judged. LOL, but then it was shown to me that it was okay and not to be scared. That it was just like a learning thing. The life review was a really weird thing. Because it was not 3D, and it wasn't even like 4D or 5D, almost like everything that has ever happened in my life, from birth to death, was right there. Yet also the opposite way in time, From death to birth, too. It really tripped me out, because there was no such thing as time. It was chaos. It was confusing. Dinosaurs were even there, like a glimpse of even their existence. Everything. Everything that has ever existed was there. Simultaneously. This is when I kind of freaked out, because it was really chaotic without time. I literally remember saying to myself, no. This is not possible. I know there's no such thing as time, but really. There is no such thing as time. I remember taking a step back into, if I had a body, but I just kind of pulled back because I was so tripped out. It was at that moment that I literally came slamming into my body and started screaming and crying. Just like a baby being born. I literally came into my body, slammed back into the physical, screaming bloody murder, and I was back. It felt so heavy. He was still over the top of me. And he was freaking out. Because he was thinking he was about to go to jail for murder. I was dead for sure, yes. No, not just unconscious. 100% positive. I still know him. I'm actually grateful, in a way, that he killed me and gave me that experience, as strange as it sounds. As I'm no longer afraid of death. And that's pretty freaking huge, don't you think? A perverse gift. And no, I am not making excuses for his BS disgusting behavior. Explaining all of that would go away from experience, and is a completely different category and post. Thank you medium skin tone person with folded hands for listening and reading. Heavy black heart. Creep daughter. First time on here, but seem like the place. Okay, so when my daughter turned 4 she went a little weird. One day she was crying in our dining room. I asked what was wrong. She told me that her imaginary friend Mimi was dead. Apparently Mimi and her friend Shushu were playing with a gun and Shushu accidentally shot Mimi in the face. That was the start. Another time when we were at the park she asked me how I was going to get home with that flat tire. So we walked to my truck and the tire was not flat. We argued about it for a bit till she stormed off saying, well, I see a flat. The next day when I was walking to my truck that tire was indeed flat. Then a few months later she asked a friend of my wife what she was going to name her baby girl. My wife's friend explained that she was not pregnant. Well, my daughter kept insisting that she was. Until my wife got onto for being rude and then apologizing for a while. Well, my wife's friend was curious because my daughter was so sure that she was pregnant. She decided to take a test that night. It came back positive. 9 months later she had a baby girl. Now for the part that scars me. One day I'm watching TV. Daughter walks up and out of nowhere she says, Daddy, don't worry, you and Mommy will be in heaven before I have my own kids. So yep, she has said other things to my wife that have come true. She is 6 now and the last prediction she made was me and my wife dying before she has kids. She is 6 now, so I guess I got some time left. Edit, didn't mean to write creep in the title, meant creepy. Ghost kid I was friends with as a child. When I was really young I lived in a small brick house in Summerville, South Carolina. I remember always talking about a friend I had named Roger and telling my mom about him. I vaguely remember shadows moving at night but not being scared cause I knew it was my friend Roger. Well, years and years later when I was in my early 20s I reminded my mom about that friend and she told me something that actually creeped me TF out. So as an adult looking back I just figured that Roger was an imaginary friend I made up cause I was an only child and always wanted to play with others. When I asked my mom if she remembered Roger she told me that on various nights after she put me to bed she would hear someone running around the house and yell from her room, Damien, it's bedtime, you need to go to bed, it's getting late, and then heard more running around, and she would go out into the living room and looked for me playing with my toys and noon was there. She opened my door and found me fast asleep every time. I still think back to how freaking creepy that is. So apparently there was a family in that house before us with a child who died somehow in the house. No idea how the kid died, but my mom told me that there was a kid named Roger that lived and died in the same house. TLDR had a ghost friend as a kid named Roger. Mom used to hear him running in the house while I was asleep. Mom confirmed kid named Roger died in that house. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like or die. Also subscribe for more. If you don't I will know. Have a good night.